Hi and welcome. I'm Cassia with Intuitive Insights. On this channel, we discuss everything to do with the Ascension process. Today, we're going to be discussing the full moon lunar eclipse in Capricorn, which is happening on July 4th or 5th, depending on where you are located in the world. This is going to be the final eclipse in a trilogy of eclipses that we've had this lunar cycle, which have been part of a series of anchoring in this new earth. And so if you guys haven't checked out the first two eclipse videos, I definitely recommend that you do that. Kayla and I did one on the first eclipse, which happened June 4th or 5th. And then we did one on the second eclipse, which happened on the 21st, right after the summer solstice. And these were some really huge energies. This is all, I think as far as astrological events have gone this year, this series of eclipses has been the most impactful. And the reason that it's been so impactful is because of what we have been doing and what has been happening throughout this series of eclipses. So I'm going to go over those energies with you in case you didn't catch those videos. And then we're going to get into talking about the astrological energy, and we're going to pull some cards. And I will have timestamps for people who want to skip to different parts of the video, but I definitely encourage you to watch it all if you can, because it's going to be some good information, and we're going to have a lot of fun with this. So we started with that first eclipse that happened on June 4th or 5th. And with this first eclipse, it was a recalibration of timelines. And so what was happening as we accessed this great attractor, which watch the first eclipse video if that intrigues you, right? I'm not going to get too in depth into it in this one, but it's essentially this point in space that some believe represents source itself. I believe that the galactic center represents source, but there's who knows, right? But it feels very much like that, and like that same source energy, right? It's this point in space that nobody really fully understands. We can't really measure it. We can't really quantify it and say what it is. But it's this intense portal, basically. It's this portal where time and space become warped. They're not a thing anymore, right? And so we crossed paths with this great attractor energy, and it was on a portal as well, because this was the month of June. Okay, so I got my dates a little messed up. It was on June 5th, because it sort of trailed into the energy of June 6th, which was the 6/6 portal. And there's a video on this as well. So we basically crossed a portal in a portal energy, as far as like numerology goes and all of that, right? During a stargate, we crossed this portal, and the timeline for the earth, the timelines as far as the earth's ascension goes, were completely recalibrated. It was a really interesting visual that came into my mind when I was channeling the information for that eclipse, where it was like almost like this grid, or sort of like, I don't know that you would necessarily call it a Rubik's Cube, but just this imagining of all of these grids and all of these energies just sort of like moving and shaping and shifting and morphing into each other. And just the way that all of these timelines were changing and swallowing each other up. And essentially the Earth's ascension was recalibrated for the most optimal timeline. And we talk about all the time how we are part of this earth, right? Like, we are souls, but we are living and inhabiting this earth right now. We are biological organisms. We are housed within biological organisms on this earth. And so what happens with the planet happens to us. This is why we're experiencing this ascension process, because we are part of Gaia. And so it's really cool to see, and we're going to look at during this video the ways that what's happening with Gaia, how that is reflected into our own personal experiences, sort of like the macrocosm and the microcosm, right? The macrocosm being Gaia herself, the microcosm being us. And so her timeline was shifted to its most optimal timeline. And as this was happening to us all individually as well in our own personal ascension journeys. So we had this major timeline recalibration and shift that happened as we crossed paths with this great attractor during this portal, during this lunar eclipse, right? And then we moved into the second eclipse. This was a solar ring of fire eclipse that happened on the 21st, the day following the summer solstice. And this was incredibly, incredibly potent energy. Kayla and I talked about this as the most impactful astrological event of 2020. And the reason that we said that, which is a ballsy statement when you look at all the intense, like this year has had the most intense astrology that possibly astrologers have agreed we have seen in the collective remembered history of the world, at least, right? And that's because of this great awakening. Like, this is the most influential and powerful time in the history of this world. So of course the astrology is going to mirror that, right? But this event in particular, because of what it was doing, we feel to have been and to be the most impactful event of 2020. And that's because what we were doing was quite literally birthing the new earth. That's what the video is called. If you go and look it up, is the birthing of the new earth. The 5D earth was officially anchored in during this eclipse. And the timelines were recalibrated. She was reset during the first eclipse. During the second eclipse, this energy was fully anchored in and is now accessible to us. It's always been accessible to us because it's a state of consciousness, right? But like very easily accessible to us and really just rippling out and affecting us in a much deeper and much more profound way moving forward. And so now we have, with this final eclipse, a complete clearing out of all of the old timelines. We've recalibrated into the new timelines, and now we're closing out those old timelines. And we can see this reflected in our own lives as well, right? So we were recalibrated to our optimal timeline if we allowed that to happen, right? Because we all have free will. But we had that possibility was present for us because it was happening with the earth, right? And then this new earth was born, and it, for each of us individually, was sort of like a rebirthing of ourselves, right? And we may not have noticed consciously that this was happening, but it did happen. And if we allow it to flow, it will continue to happen. If we allow ourselves to express the newness that is rising within us, if we allow ourselves to release with this final eclipse that which is ready to die, we can move forward. We can be reborn into this energy, right? We can reinvent ourselves. That's what we're being challenged to do. That's what we're being invited to do. I like that word better. That's what we're being invited to do right now. And it's really interesting. We can see how this is playing out. So we're having this eclipse, which is closing out, officially sealing and closing out those old timelines. If we are really determined, we can remain on an old trajectory, right? We always have that option, but we're being invited, like I said, to close those out and really seal those now. And so that means releasing our attachment to the past, releasing all the things that are outdated, that are outworn, that no longer resonate. And if we're honest with ourselves, we know what those things are, right? Releasing all of those old belief systems, the attachment to the old stories that we tell ourselves, the attachment to the old world that we knew, to these structures, to everything about how the world was organized before. And so we're having this eclipse is happening in the sign of Capricorn. And Capricorn has been very, very active this year, right? We have a lot of intense planetary configurations going on. There's a lot of astrologers who would probably say that the conjunction of Pluto and Saturn was the most influential event of 2020, because that was a very, very massive astrological event. I mean, astrologers were going nuts over this, really just predicting like an end of days almost type scenario, some of them, right? And there are videos as well. If you guys look in our Astrological Ascension Energies videos, you'll see videos on all this stuff that I'm talking about. So please definitely go and check it out. But what happened wasn't immediate, right? Like Pluto and Saturn had been kind of playing around for really like a year, since 2019, right? Like playing around each other. And they came into this exact conjunction. But that energy just slowly rippled outward, right? It's like Plutonian energy, right? So it's very subtle. It's very deep and profound and intense, but it's also very subtle because it's dealing with the shadow. And so we didn't see anything right away. But now, as time has gone on, we have seen the effects of that with the coronavirus, with these different social justice movements, with everything that's going on in the world right now, as people are waking up and our collective shadow is being revealed, right? We talk about this a lot. And this is all in the sign of Capricorn, the sign where Jupiter and Pluto are making their 3 conjunctions this year. There's videos on that as well that I also encourage you guys to check out. And you notice how everything happens in 3s, right? Like, people used to say, there's that old misnomer that like bad things happen in 3s, but it's powerful and impactful things happen in 3s, right? 3 is a very auspicious number. It's a highly spiritual number. It's the number of the trilogy, the mind, the body, the spirit, right? That unity consciousness energy. It's a powerful number in twin flame astrology or numerology as well, right? The two energies that come together to produce the third energy. It's that ultimate energy of creation, is that 3 energy, right? So we see all of these powerful events happening in 3s. There are videos where we talk about like the trifold process of integration, right? As we're being activated, it's just a powerful number. So it's no coincidence that this series of eclipses is a series of 3 eclipses, right? I got a little sidetracked there, but we're talking about Capricorn. We're talking about everything that's going on in Capricorn and has been going on. And so all of these huge heavy hitting planets, Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto, they are having all of this activity and these intense conjunctions and alignments together in these final degrees of Capricorn. And this is really significant because this is the end of the sign. This is the refinement of that energy. This is like the conclusion energy. And so as this final eclipse happens, we have Pluto and Jupiter, who had their second exact conjunction on the 30th. So still very much we're in the energy of that, right? And then we also have Saturn moving back into Capricorn. Saturn was in Capricorn, moved into Aquarius, right? And we talk about this in the Age of Aquarius video. What a profound, all of the profound energies that were going on around that time, right? So Saturn moved into Aquarius, but now going retrograde, as most of the planets are at this point in time that I'm filming this video, going retrograde and moving back into the sign of Capricorn. So 2 days before this eclipse, Saturn will have entered and be at 29 degrees of Capricorn, and will still be at 29 degrees of Capricorn during the eclipse. So this is like that final completion degree. That final completion. Saturn represents the physical world, right? Saturn represents the structure. Saturn represents time and space and this whole third dimension, right? At least right now. So I see Saturn having a different function and meaning as we move into the new Earth and the 5th dimension. Some of the energies of these planets are going to be experienced differently. But at this time, this is what Saturn represents, right? And so we're seeing that, representing time. These timelines really closing out. And so it just blows me away sometimes, the way the astrology, the way everything adds up together. It's truly mind-boggling. It's so cool. So yeah, that's what's happening. That's what's going on with the Capricorn energy, with this energy of we're closing out these timelines in our personal lives. We're closing out this old timeline for the Earth's ascension. And we see ourselves closing out these timelines and these as far as like society goes, and all of the structures and the authorities and the way that like the old ways of doing things, right? And how that's closing out. And so an important thing to note here is that Saturn is still going retrograde, and Saturn will not return. So Saturn will be at 29 degrees during the eclipse and then continue to go down into some of the lighter degrees of Capricorn, and then station direct and start moving back over what we call the shadow period, tracing over his retrograde period, right? And so Saturn is going to return to 29 degrees of Capricorn in December. And then Saturn and Jupiter are going to have an exact conjunction. And I meant to look this up. This information's in other videos that I've done. I don't know the exact dates, but I'm fairly certain that they will be conjunct at 29 degrees of Capricorn, and then will move, one of the two moves into Aquarius first, and then the other one meets it there a couple days later, and they stay exactly conjunct for, I believe it's 5 days at 0 degrees of Aquarius. And so this is huge energy, right? And the reason I'm bringing this up, because trust, there'll be a video on that as well when that time comes, is because though we're closing out these timelines, that may not be reflected in the fully in the physical until that time. Like, we're still going to be, it's like things happen in the energetic realm first, right? And then it trickles down and we see it manifest in the physical. And so energetically, we're closing out these timelines. But there may still be things in the physical that take a little while to catch up. And so what we want to do as these things are catching up is we want to reinforce that decision. Like this full moon eclipse is a great time to be releasing and letting go of what doesn't serve us anymore, of those old timelines, those old trajectories, that old path, right? That old ego identity. But it's also a time to be thinking about what timeline it is that we want to move into. Where do we want to go? Right? And really setting that intention and manifesting that energy. The entire month of June has been very much about that, right? Like, we've been choosing that with our vibration, with our thoughts, with our actions. And we're going to be continuing to choose that. So as we go through this period up until the end of December, right? We really want to continue to be choosing what it is that we want. Kayla and I talk about this all the time. Like, what are you choosing, right? And choosing that with our vibration, choosing that with our words, with our thoughts, and with our actions. The actions that we take and how we act during this period of time throughout the rest of 2020 is going to determine what our life looks like moving forward. I mean, it always does, right? Like, actions have all cause and effect, all that stuff, right? Whatever. But this really, really will, because we are setting the tone for our future evolution. So we really want to be looking at that and looking at where we want to go. And like, we can reset ourselves anytime. If we are consistently choosing one thing and then one day we choose something else, we're human, right? Or we're partially human. We have a human side. We have a human essence within us. That is our default setting as human, right? We're resetting, we're recalibrating that and reconnecting with our soul essence. But our default setting when we first, as we're indoctrinated into this world, is to be human, right? So we fall back into that. Kayla and I call it like falling back into our human, or, yeah. So we'll fall back. We'll fall back into our human, but we can always move back into this other energy. Like, if we're consistently choosing one thing and then we make a different choice one day, that doesn't mean that we're stuck and locked into that. Like, if we're consistently choosing what we want, it's not like that's going to negate that. As long as we then know that in every moment we have the option to choose again. And as soon as we remember that, we start choosing again. And so I feel like somebody needed to hear that. Somebody who's maybe really concerned about that. Like, we can get ourselves stressed about anything, right? So please don't do that. Do not get yourself stressed because of, those little details. This is meant to be a joyful experience. We can allow it to be one. We don't have to get too serious about it. We just know, like, this is us coming into the knowledge that we are conscious creator beings, right? We have the ability to create and craft and hone our reality and our experience of reality. And so just allow ourselves to do that and allow ourselves to have fun with it. And like, if we make a mistake or we fall back into an old thought pattern, an old behavior, an old whatever, like, we don't have to get down on ourselves for that. As soon as we acknowledge it and understand that it's happening, we can choose something else. And so I feel like it's just really important for somebody, or maybe a group of people, myself included, to know that and remember that and not be hard on ourselves. This is an exciting time where we are choosing the trajectory of our future. And it's super amazing. But yeah, so we're going to have this time period where the physical is trying to catch up. And so what we can do during that time is just continue to reinforce that by choosing what it is that we want, right? By living the life that we want. We're going to feel a lot of energy and be really fired up to do that during this eclipse, because we have a ton of cardinal energy going on right now. We have the Capricorn energy, and then because this is a full moon, we have an opposition of the sun and the moon, right? So we have that Capricorn energy that the moon is in. And then we also have the sun and Mercury conjunct in Cancer opposing that, which is also a cardinal sign. And we have that cardinal energy, a lot of planets in these cardinal signs. We also have a lot of sextiles going on, which is very invigorating energy, right? It's very mental energy as well. So between the sun being conjunct Mercury and all of these sextiles, we're going to be very mentally stimulated. We may feel a bit agitated. We're going to feel like we want to get going. We want to move, right? Cardinal signs are the initiators. They're that spark, that fiery type of energy that, like, let's go and get stuff done. They're that first series of energies, and that start things, that get things going. And so we're gonna want to do that. But we also have all of these planets retrograde, and we're closing out these huge life cycles. Some of these that started years, for some decades, even lifetimes, even past lifetimes ago, right? So that's a lot. So what we're being asked to do is, in my opinion, utilize that for the manifestation properties, but not push ourselves too hard. We're being asked to also allow ourselves to be in that void a little bit. That sort of, that energy in between the creation, right? In between the destruction and the creation, where we're just sort of floating in that space and not pushing too hard, right? Like doing the things that flow and the things that feel good, but not pushing ourselves, and just really allowing ourselves to catch up, and just congratulating ourselves and feeling good and accomplished about everything that we have accomplished. Because even if you don't feel like it, you've accomplished a lot. Just still being alive and on this planet at this point, and as aware as all of you who are watching these videos are, is a huge accomplishment. Like, we have done so much, and there's been so much heavy purging that's been going on as we've been making room for and grounding in all of this light. As, like, ego death is an experience that we've been in and we are still in, right? And that is it can be almost a traumatizing experience if we have an attachment to these ways that we've identified ourselves. So it's just a lot of really heavy, intense energies that we're closing out, and just allowing ourselves to be in that space and allowing ourselves to get excited about what it is that we're manifesting, but not pushing forward too hard. It's going to be really difficult to get too much forward momentum going with all of these planets still in retrograde. Mercury stations direct on the 11th and comes out on the 12th of July. So that is some forward momentum, right? But a lot of these and Venus did just come out of retrograde, but a lot of these other planets are going to take a while. It's going to be into the late fall before a lot of these planets come out of retrograde. You know, when we're talking about Saturn and Jupiter and Neptune, Pluto, these heavy hitting planets with these really intense, powerful energies. So it's just, we're still in that process of revision. We're releasing our attachment to those old timelines, those old stories, those old ways of identifying and doing things, right? But we're also reviewing the lessons that we've learned, really internalizing them and understanding and integrating all of that, right? This is a process of integration. So allowing that, even though we have all of this excitable energy, really just allowing that to be what it is. And we also, as we mentioned, have this opposition going between the sun and Mercury conjunct in Cancer and the moon in Capricorn. And the moon is, this eclipse is falling right around 14 degrees of Capricorn, give or take. So it's in the, where am I trying to go with this? This happens sometimes, guys. Just bear with me for a second. Yeah. Basically just the opposition of those energies, and the fact that the moon isn't exactly conjunct Saturn or and Pluto or Jupiter or any of those, but it's still, I mean, I feel it tied to those energies, right? So we have an opposition of all of that energy, and then we have this Cancer energy. And so the way that I sort of viewed this opposition is like looking at the houses that these signs rule, right? We have Cancer, which rules the 4th house, which is the house of the home. And then we have Capricorn, which rules the 10th house, which is the house of ambition, the house of our standing in the public world, in the public eye, the mark we want to leave in the world. And so there is a little bit that we may be feeling. I think these bigger energies for some will cancel this out, but for others there's going to be there will be an undertone of this going on, as we're feeling that we're being asked to balance our home life with our outer life, our outer persona, right? Our ambitions, like this greater, our aspirations. I feel like for a lot of people it's like the life purpose and the soul calling and all of that's calling to us with that 10th house energy. And like, how do we balance that with our home life, with our family life, with all of those Cancer aspects? How do we balance that with self-care? How do we put ourselves out there in the world? Because Cancer is also about self-care, right? How do we put ourselves out there in the world? How do we go after what we want? How do we stand up for the things that we feel we need to stand up for right now? But also take care of ourselves and take care of the people that matter to us, take care of our family, keep that in order. And just the balancing and the juggling of that act of that is going to be an energy that we're going to be feeling. But we do have one of the sextiles going on right now is between Uranus and the Sun and Mercury in Cancer. So Uranus and Taurus is sextiling this energy. And so this Uranian energy, I think, is going to be really helpful, because I think for some people, it's going to be, Uranus is that Aquarian energy, right? It's that genius, inventive kind of energy, that thinking outside the box kind of energy. So we're going to be given possibly some insights and some inspiration into the ways that we can balance that, and the ways that we can work with that family energy, that home life energy, in a new way, in a productive way, and just applying that to the larger scheme of our lives. We're going to have a lot of focus, I think, on life purpose. This whole year of 2020 is opening a lot of people up to their life path and their life purpose, right? And so this is an ongoing theme. Another aspect that we have going on during this eclipse is the conjunction of Mars in Aries with Chiron in Aries. And Chiron is the wounded healer, right? So this is a healing of the divine masculine energy, but this is also just a healing of our own Mars energy, right? So it's our own masculine energy. And so I think for some people, we're going to be looking at the way that we, like, the wounds that we've inflicted on ourselves or others when it comes to how we go after what we want, and just our ambition, and our passion, our drives, and how we express those. And this is being sextiled by Venus. So we're really looking at how we can bring that into harmony in our relationships and harmony within ourselves, right? Because Venus is another planet that it represents love and partnership, but it also represents self-love and worth. We're going to be looking at this in terms of career and money as well, because Venus represents wealth, or is one of the planets that represents wealth. And we have Mars, which is our ambition, our drive, how we get what we want. So when it comes to finances as well, we're going to be looking at these things. We're going to be looking at some of these, just all of those wounds around our masculine energy, right? And healing that. But we're going to be seeing with Chiron, right? How our struggles and how we've overcome those and these wounds and the healing of these wounds, like how that connects to our life purpose and our passion, and how we want to utilize that to help others, right? Chiron is all about our greatest wounds that become our greatest strengths once we've healed those, and can then offer that healing. So really looking at what can we offer to others? What is our passion? What is our purpose? Like, that's going to be an energy that's really highlighted as well. So just a lot of really intense, beautiful energies, as I always say, going on with this eclipse. And try not to get too overwhelmed. Try not to get too attached. Try to just allow yourselves to get excited, because this is exciting energy. And I think what we're going to do now is pull some cards, and we're going to go with my good old trusty Black Moon astrology cards and pull a little bit of energy from these for this full moon lunar eclipse in Capricorn. Full moon lunar eclipse in Capricorn. That was a terrible shuffle. That's okay. Okay. So I'm seeing already we have Yod up here, which is destiny, and this has been coming up. This came up as well the other day. So this, to me, is us embracing our destiny, really stepping onto our destined path, right? This closing out those old cycles so that we can move into our destiny. Really, this is also struggles, right? The struggles that make us or break us, and the struggles that really push us to embody this highest version of ourselves, right? And so I'm feeling with this again, that Chiron energy that we're talking about with Chiron and Mars, right? And how it's pushing us, like these outer circumstances that have forced us to really confront these aspects of ourselves and really grow exponentially. And we've been had to look at these wounds. We've had to look at all the stuff that maybe we didn't want to look at before. And the process of looking at that and healing that and growing through that is helping us to step into those were integral, very important stepping stones and important lessons, important triumphs that we needed to help us to get to the point where we were able to embrace our destiny. And then we have Aquarius, I know. So this knowing that we're coming into of our destiny, of our destined path, of how all of these events came together and coalesced to create who we are now. This is this process of becoming that we're in. This process of elevating ourselves spiritually. And yeah, just really stepping into our destiny, stepping onto our path. Yeah, that's really, really cool. I love that. I love that energy. My whole body is hot right now talking about that. And that's funny because we have the fire element under that, desire, right? So we know, we've seen, this is all those old timelines too that were very essential and very important. Like, it's not like we're closing out all this stuff that didn't mean anything, right? Or that didn't have an impact or wasn't meaningful. And so that might be important to people who are having a hard time letting go. Like, if you're letting go of all of those struggles and all of that stuff that you feel made you who you are, and you feel like it's almost like the ego is afraid to let go of that, because it did make you the person that you've become, right? But now that you've become that person, that's not necessary anymore. Some of those struggles, those triumphs, all of that stuff brought you to your destiny. But now that you've arrived, it's time to really like grab the bull by the horns, right? Like ride your destiny to where it's trying to take you. And you're going to know, right? This Aquarius, this knowing energy, you're going to know because of this. You're going to feel this fire. You're going to feel this desire, and that desire is going to lead you forward. Like, our desire for the life that is beckoning to us is really being lit right now. And it's our desire for what it is. This came up in the reading, the last reading that I did, the Virgo reading, the what you want wants you, right? That's that desire. That's that momentum that's building and growing. And as the more we step into our knowing, the more we step into that, right? Like, Aquarius is very firm in its knowing. Aquarius is that energy. We're moving into this age of Aquarius, right? So, oh, that's so cool. There's fireworks going off outside my window right now. I love that. But yeah, Aquarius is this energy. So first of all, it's the humanitarian energy. It's the energy of standing up for our truth, standing up for what we believe in. It's that authenticity, right? Being our true and authentic selves. Like, this process, all of these challenges, right, that brought us to our destiny, also helped us to step into our true authenticity. Part of the challenge for a lot of people was becoming their authentic selves, allowing themselves to embrace that, to stand up for that. And, you know, to stand up for, Aquarius is a sign that stands up for injustice, right? To stand up for that as well. Like that energy is coming through really strongly right now. And we're seeing that as we're remaking the world, that is an integral part that's going on right now. It's so important to be witnessing, right? Our collective shadow is being exposed. We're seeing and we're witnessing injustice, and we're standing up for that. We're standing up, we're speaking our truth. Aquarius knows, has that knowing, and Aquarius acts on that knowing, and Aquarius speaks that knowing. So that's something that we've learned how to do. And as we embrace more of who we genuinely are, as we fully step into our light, as we embody that inventive, ingenious Uranian energy, right? Like we were talking about, that's the energy that rules Aquarius. Like we step more fully onto our path and into our destiny. We embrace that fire. That fire that is burning within them, Aquarius expresses. And so, yeah, that's what we're doing right now. That's amazing. And then we have Black Moon Lilith, mystery. So this is all of those mysteries that are being revealed, right? This is that, I'm trying to think of where True Black Moon is right now. There were some aspects going on with her as well during this, but I mean, we can't get into all the aspects all the time. I got into the ones that felt the most relevant for me as I was looking over this. But yeah, I mean, we have, so the Black Moon Lilith is like an aspect of, is the wounded feminine, right? So we've had this healing of the masculine energy. We've also had this healing of the feminine energy that's been going on as well. And so we're looking at that, and we're sinking into that mystery of ourselves. We're sinking into that place of, we're looking at all of these areas where we have suppressed and repressed ourselves, right? Like Black Moon Lilith is the repressed feminine. But in this, with the Black Moon Lilith next to the fire and the desire card, I'm seeing this and feeling this as these areas where we have repressed our desires and our needs coming forward. Like those, like any areas where we've held ourselves back, and that goes into this Aquarian energy of fully expressing ourselves and standing in our truths, right? Any areas where we've held ourselves back, we're like breaking out of that mold now. And anywhere where we felt like others have held us back, we're breaking out of that mold as well. You know, when we talk about this healing process that's been going on with Chiron and Mars being conjunct during this eclipse, the healing of the masculine energy, the healing of the areas and the ways that a distortion of our own masculine energy has wounded ourselves and others. It's like that energy. But this is more than that. It's just, I want to read, actually, I feel like there's some sort of message in the book regarding the Black Moon Lilith card right now, too. And so, it says, it is time to be careful. Think of what might manifest over anger, bitterness, or revenge. What you have worked for so hard may collapse. When this card turns up during a reading, something lurks. Lilith appears as the dark part of the astrological chart. She is our shadow side, the dark face of the moon where mysteries and unexplained occurrences lie in wait. This card indicates a call to wildness, even subversion. Lilith is the evocation of what may or may not be there. She can manifest as madness or self-realization. Lilith represents a refusal to submit. So it is not a good time to give in, even when the path seems a rough one. I think that is part of the message that's trying to come through here, is that energy of not giving up. That energy of not giving up and not submitting. And it's just really like, we've been going through this process, right, of this whole shadow integration process. And so this is part of that shadow integration, as these aspects of our shadow are brought into the light. And as we stop denying those parts of ourselves that we think are inappropriate, or that we have felt as though we could not express, right? And so that's why we suppress them. And so it's like really allowing ourselves, I'm feeling as though this is going to be where we're getting into this energy where those parts of yourself that you have suppressed, if you continue to do that, it will drive you to madness. That is the energy of, like, there is so much passion and so much fire that if we continue to deny our truth, if we continue to deny our path, if we continue to deny our soul, right? Like, it's this came up in a conversation that I was having with Kayla and our friend Tommy earlier, is this whole process of, like, once you get to a certain level in your awakening journey, you can't really go backwards anymore. And if you would try to live, like we talk about, in your human, and sort of ignore your soul and ignore this awakening process and go back to sleep, in a sense, that would quite literally drive us mad once we get to a certain point. So that's the point. I feel like for some people, it's like you're moving forward, but you're afraid of what's going to happen if you continue to move forward. And so you're wanting to revert back into some of these old patterns that are outdated, but it's not going to work anymore. It's not going to work anymore. And it is making you, if you are actively trying to do this, it is making you feel crazy. And if it's not, it will. So this is just a message to really surrender and allow you, who you truly are, what it is you truly desire, to be seen, to be shown, not to deny the parts of your soul and your spirit that are really yearning and calling, and at this point demanding to be expressed. And then we have here Grand Cross Provoker. So for some, there will be events. For some who are really attempting to deny where their soul is trying to get them to go, there will be these events that come up that will provoke and sort of stir the pot to get this fire to come up, to really move you to where you're meant to be. You know, like, we have free will. We can choose not to go. And there are so many different paths, right? And all paths lead to source. So, like, we can choose absolutely anything we want, but we have, at least in my perception and understanding, an ideal trajectory that our soul would like. We have something that we came here to accomplish, and we can accomplish that in a bunch of different ways, but we can get the most out of it. We can squeeze the most juice out of this lifetime if we take a certain path. And so we're being guided down that path right now. We're being given this incredible opportunity to really hop onto that timeline and to sail into this new journey, this new avenue of our lives. Even if we've made different choices in the past that have kind of strayed us into these other timelines that really are still beneficial. We're still learning, we're still growing, but there's more growth that our soul really is being called to do in this lifetime. We're being given this chance to skip back into those ideal timelines. And so we're going to be provoked. We're going to be challenged if we try to hold ourselves back, because this is not a time to be holding ourselves back. This is a time to really be moving and pushing forward. And so, yeah, there may be events, there may be tensions, there may be things, more of those events and those situations that really call us to step into ourselves, right? That show us what we're made of. If we're forgetting that, if we're trying to go back to sleep, like, we're going to be woken back up right now. So, I mean, the easiest thing to do is just, I hate to use this, like, pop, like, you know, the way people talk about all of this stuff and stay woke, my friends, you know, like, just stay awake, and you don't have to worry so much about the universe trying to shock you back awake, right? Yeah. Through Lilith, we discover creativity and beauty that can exist in the darkness as long as we keep our own demons in check and under our rule. Yeah. That's what I'm feeling. I'm not feeling anything else from that right now except for that. So I don't know. That's pretty intense, right? That's pretty cool energy. We're gonna leave that right there unless we have one more card that wants to pop out. Okay. All right, we had 3. And so we had Venus, love, Pluto, transformation, and the South Node, life's debts. And so this is, for a lot of people also, there's energy that we're clearing out around old soul contracts, around old relationships and partnerships that have served their purpose. Like the South Node is the past life energy, right? It's the energies that we're ready to leave behind as we embrace what's meant for us in this lifetime. So this is more of like closing out those old timelines and old cycles, right? And this is also not just relationships with others. That is something that's happening for a lot of people, right? But also our relationship with ourselves and how that's been transforming, and how we're closing out that timeline as well. And we're moving away from this. This is like the ego death is what I'm feeling from this right now. We're moving away from that old energy into this new energy of who we are. And we are being asked to bring with us the relationships and the partnerships that are going to continue to facilitate that process of growth and transformation, and are going to help us to express more of what and who we are, right? Like they say, like, you are who you hang with. The energy that you put yourself in, that you consume, that you're around, is the energy that's going to fuel you and affect you. And if we surround ourselves with people that inspire us, we're going to feel inspired. If we surround ourselves with people that sort of like pull us down with their energy, we're gonna feel uninspired, right? Like we want to feel inspired right now. We want to surround yourselves with the people who are doing the things that you want to do, who have the dreams and the aspirations that you have. Like if somebody has what you want, this isn't a time to be envious of that. This is a time to look at that envy and say, what is this teaching me? This is teaching me that this person has something that I want. So how do I get that? Let me find out. Let me ask them. Let me befriend them. Let me be grateful and happy for them that they have been able to accomplish this, and thank them for showing me that this is something that I want to accomplish also. So it's really, and this brings in the Aquarius energy again, right? This is friends, this is alliances, this is social, this is networking, this is groups and causes and organizations. So just really aligning ourselves with all of those energies that are bringing us into and moving into the timelines and the future and the reality that we wish to be living as much as possible. Yeah. And just releasing all of these old templates around relationships. I feel that coming up for a lot of people. Releasing all the old templates around our relationship to ourselves, which is also releasing those templates, because whatever our relationship with ourselves is going to be reflected to us by our relationships with other people, right? And so we're transforming and releasing a lot of that stuff as well. And it's opening us up to this whole new level of expression, this whole new level of being, right? Like this is a time as well where we're revolutionizing our energies, and we're seeing how those have played out. This is a really influential time for twin flame energies as well, and sort of revolutionizing the energy of those relationships. For some people, it's really like a renewal and a transformation of that energy as we're healing all of these old generational curses, right? We're healing all of these old ways that people have conducted themselves in love and relationships in the past. And for some, you're closing out cycles with people who you had soul contracts with, that maybe you thought were of a certain energy for you, but like your time and learning has come to a close. This is really going to be a time where we're learning and we're being drawn, and we're starting to understand where we've learned all that we were meant to learn, and we've come together with people for all that we were meant to come together with them for, and where there's still learning and growth that can happen. But first we have to close out these old cycles and allow those relationships to transform, so that we can approach that next level of learning and integration and understanding. So it's just this constant process of transformation that's happening in relationships. And so this is, like I said, happening for a lot of twin flames, I feel, as well, where all of those old storylines, like we're finally closing out those timelines with each other and for the collective as well, which is really exciting. And then we still have Yod on the bottom of the deck, Destiny. So I like that. I just had to point that back out. And so I want to do, what do I want to do anything else? I feel like that was, yeah, I want to do one of these. I want to do the Secret Language of Light deck. And see what this has to say. Let's get a card from the Secret Language of Light deck. Divine Masculine, number 32. And so this is that healing of the divine masculine energy that we were talking about, right? That healing of the divine masculine energy, as we're really stepping, I mean, you can see the fire here. So it's like that passion, that fire that we were talking about, right? As we move out of that distorted energy and we move into this energy of like being really effective in the world, right? Like our masculine energy, feeling empowered, feeling that fire within, and knowing how to utilize that and knowing how to project that into the world and how to manifest and create what we want, right? Like the feminine energy is the flow and the masculine energy is like the spark and the igniter. So really feeling into that energy of igniting that aspect of ourselves as well. And then we have There Is Only Light and Soul Journey. Right? We are on this soul journey right now. We're stepping into this next phase of our soul journey as we're closing out these old phases. And yeah, we're just really seeing how even in our shadow there is light, right? And we're really feeling into this understanding of ourselves as these beings of light, and seeing even in these situations that felt so dark, when this darkness felt so heavy, we're seeing how they were the divine guidance behind it all, right? How they helped us to grow, all of those painful events that made us into who we are, that helped us to step into our destiny. Like behind all of that, there was always light. All of these, we're really having this sort of like recalibration and understanding of these experiences that we had, that we thought were one thing, and then we're seeing the divinity in them, right? We're seeing the divinity in all of our relationships and in all of our interactions, in all of the trials and tribulations that we've gone through. We're seeing the light that exists in all of that. We're seeing the light that exists within ourselves and the light that exists within others, right? And how that light is one and the same, right? Like that's all there is. There is only light, there is only love. That is the only thing. Everything else is illusion. And we're moving past those illusions right now. Where we just really, really are. And just that beautiful, intense healing. I'm just continually being drawn back to that healing of that divine masculine energy. And that masculine aspect of ourselves, really stepping into their light and really stepping into this next phase of their soul journey. It's really, really beautiful. And this is like the life path, right? As that Mars energy is meeting that Chiron energy, and we're seeing, as we heal that masculine aspect of ourselves, we're seeing our mission, we're seeing our purpose more clearly, and we're able to really fully step into that and anchor into that. And this is actually really exciting because, you know, the feminine has been on this path for a little while of sort of like recognizing her light, and now we're talking a little bit of twin flame stuff too, but this is the masculine and feminine aspects of ourselves as well, right? Like recognizing her light, her divinity, recognizing her masculine's divinity, and sort of like working and moving toward her purpose and the masculine energy. So what I'm recalling right now is there's this twin flame astrologer that I really love. Her name is Kay Moon. And so she was talking, I really liked this way that she described it. She described the masculine energy as like the transmuting energy, and the feminine energy as the intuiting energy. And so the feminine energy, she talked about how the feminine energy has, and this really resonated with me, which is why I'm sharing it. If it resonates with me, I feel like it's going to resonate with a lot of you, because what I've learned is that what I'm going through and what resonates and what I'm understanding is also meant to be shared, because that we are having this collective experience. Everyone who connects with these videos is in this collective having this experience. So like I said, anything that resonates with me will resonate with you guys. So it's like the feminine essence has really been called into stepping into her purpose, right? Like standing up, being that leader, making those moves, holding that light, right? Being that candle, that light in the darkness for others and for that masculine energy. But what the masculine energy has been doing is really digging deep into that darkness, into that shadow, into those lower vibrational energies, into all of that heavy karmic energy, all of that stuff, and transmuting all of that. He's just transmuting all of that darkness into light. There is only light, right? And so as he's coming through this process of being this transmuter of these energies, he is coming into this realization and this understanding. Like, he may have been swallowed up in darkness for a while and started to feel like that's all that there was. And now he's coming out of that. He's learned how to face those demons, right? How to live in that lower dimensional energy and utilize that and transmute that and bring that into the light. And so this is incredibly important work. It's like, really, he's been at the ground level doing this work while the feminine's just been holding that light and holding that candle and, you know, putting herself out there in the world, in the mission, right? And his mission has been very much in this sort of like undercover kind of area, right? He's been down in the trenches doing this work, and now he's emerging with this light, with this knowledge of this light, with this incredible ability to take all of that darkness and transmute it into light. And just the power and the magnitude of that energy when we can take that and transmute it. I talked about this in the second Pluto-Jupiter conjunction video, of how we are all becoming these transmuters of energy, and we are learning how to utilize this lower vibrational energy and turn it into this high vibrational light energy. So like I said, I definitely encourage you guys to check out that video, but like, that's what the masculine's been doing for a while now. And so he's coming out of that. That's been part of his soul journey, is learning how to do that and really stepping into that. And as he's now coming through and out of this process, just like completely renewed and reborn, he's stepping into this place of joy. This joy, this, you know, this light, this joy, and this is wicked funny. Under that, we have the divine feminine. Yeah. So that's really beautiful. Yeah. You know, he's stepping into this space of joy. And as he's stepping into this space of joy and really reconnecting with his light and seeing how there was light in every experience, like he's calling in, and all I'm seeing right now is the heart energy here. It's like that heart energy, opening that heart chakra. Yeah, and this joy energy, it's not a Merkaba, but it's reminding me of one right now when I'm looking at this too. But it's like, yeah, he's able to connect back in with the light, connect back in with this joy, and all of this energy that his divine feminine has been holding and sending, he is receiving and feeling. And it's just, you know, we talked about with the eclipses this year, how there was this union energy in the air, whether that's the masculine and feminine aspects of ourselves unifying, or whether for a lot of us, because we talk about what happens internally happens externally, as within, so without. So for a lot of twin flames, as we come into our inner union, this is bringing, for those of us with a counterpart in the physical, bringing in that union with our counterpart. And so I'm just feeling that energy. I'm feeling like her joy, like their joy, them both being in their joy, drawing them back in toward to each other, into that. Yeah, that's just absolutely, absolutely beautiful. And this whole other level of cosmic heart awakening that's happening as this energy unifies. And even if it hasn't happened in the 3D physical, it is absolutely happening in the non-physical right now. And it's just creating this incredible explosion of joy. And so, yeah, that's just really, really beautiful. And then we also have channeling on the bottom of the deck. Channeling and soulmating. And so just all of the energy, I'm feeling just all of the energy that's being channeled, like we were talking about, right? That explosion of that heart energy, that cosmic heart awakening that's happening, and the channeling of that energy and how that's being released, and just really also helping to strengthen this 5D grid, and to just pour that energy out into the collective. You know, when twin flames come into union, like true union, where there's no more protection, right? There's no more armor. There's no more of that stuff that holds us back from each other in between, right? And we're able to come, like, that's what true union is the blending of those energies in complete surrender to each other, right? In that space of complete and unconditional love. What happens and this is what I resonate with, remember, is that a literal portal is opened by the connection, right? We talk about the Trinity energy, right? The two energies producing that third energy. That third energy is like this portal into the fifth dimension, this portal of unconditional love, right? Like this heart portal that opens up, and that energy pours out and can be felt rippling throughout the entire collective. It has an incredible capacity to heal, not only physically, like the counterparts physically, right? But to heal the entire world spiritually and energetically and emotionally. And it's really beautiful. So I'm feeling that energy being channeled, and I'm feeling for some, like you're feeling this and starting to feel the channeling of this energy already. Whether this is in the form of like a more advanced Kundalini awakening, whether this is in the form of like spontaneous joy, right? Like whatever this is, like those moments of pure connection and pure bliss where you're channeling that fifth dimensional energy and you're channeling each other's energies and feeling that unifying of the energies. So yeah, I don't know. That's really, really cool. I love it. Yeah, so an impromptu little twin flame reading at the end of that. And it's, yeah, I mean, and then transformation under that. And the Vesica Pisces, which I just have to throw that in there too, because it's like the three circles, right? The two circles that make the third circle. So back into that Trinity energy again. Yeah. Which in the center of that, it looks like a portal, right? And there's a heart in the center of that portal. So, I don't know. That's cool. That's really neat. All right, you guys. I think we're going to wrap up this video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you found it informational. I hope that you had as much fun as I had making this, watching it. This energy, all the fireworks are still going on outside. That's so beautiful. This energy is explosive. This energy, that's reminding me, this is happening on Independence Day, right? The 4th of July. And so this in and of itself is kind of cool, because it's kind of like we're gaining our independence. We're gaining our freedom from all of the things that kept us bound before, right? All of those old belief systems, all of those old structures, all of those old habits, all of those old heavy energies, and all of those old stories that we used to tell ourselves, right? Those stories that make up the ego, that make up this misrepresentation that we have of who and what we are, right? We're gaining our freedom and our independence from all of that. The earth is gaining her freedom and her independence. As she's now fully anchored into this fifth dimensional energy, she's sealing and closing all of those old timelines. And just like, we're ready to move forward from here. I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely feeling that energy. This is being filmed I don't know, 4 days or something like that before the eclipse, but I'm feeling that energy already, and it's so exciting. It's so profound. It's so absolutely and utterly perfect. And I really hope for you guys that you're feeling it too. If you're not, that's okay. Whatever you're feeling is absolutely perfect. You may still be purging. You may still just be dealing with, it's okay to grieve the things that we're letting go. And for some of you, that grief may be a natural process that needs to happen to allow you to release attachment and let it go. So allow yourselves, don't feel pressured to be as excited as I get, right? Like, I'm not always excited either. I get excited when I do these videos because I'm feeding off of this incredible high vibrational energy. But sometimes I've been miserable lately. I've had some days that were really dark. Like, it's not always this smiles and this enthusiastic energy. Sometimes it's really hard. And I'm really getting this message coming through really strongly for some of you that you may need to allow yourselves to grieve the things that you're leaving behind. And don't force yourself to feel any way other than how you feel. When we try to do that, what we're doing is we're derailing our healing process because we have to feel it to heal it. And if we're repressing it and we're burying it and we're not allowing it to be brought into the light, it's going to continue to nag. So to nag at us and to drag us down. So just let yourself feel however it is that you're feeling. Be sad for, grieve the person that you're leaving behind. Grieve, whether that's the you that you're leaving behind, the other people that you may be leaving behind, the life, the job, the identity, the belief system, whatever it is, grieve all of that. Allow yourselves to feel whatever it is that you feel around that. And when you allow yourselves to feel that, then you can finally be able to start to release that and let that go. Like, that attachment is rooted in those heavy emotions. And we think that by feeling them, we're making that energy stronger, right? We're giving it attention. But actually, when we don't allow ourselves to feel it is when we're strengthening it, because that's when it really takes root within us in a way that we don't want. So just allow yourself to feel however it is that you feel as you're going through this process. And just know that a lot of this happens, it doesn't happen on a conscious level. It happens on a subconscious level. So just go through whatever it is that you're going through. But know that we have this opportunity as these timelines are, as this is continuing to be reflected, like, make that conscious choice. Make the conscious choice for the life that you want to live, and then allow yourself to go through the process of whatever it is, releasing that, and however that process looks for you. And just know that we have all of this time, and these are time's an illusion, right? So I'm giving you these dates. They don't really mean anything, right? But for sake of argument, right, we have at least all of this time until Saturn moves back into Aquarius, until Saturn reaches this 29-degree mark again, where we're going to be seeing those timelines physically closing out. We're going to see that reflected in the physical. So we have all these opportunities to choose the life that we want to live, to choose who we want to be, how we want to be, how we want to assert ourselves in the world, right? How we want to express that masculine energy, how we want to do these things. So don't put too much pressure on yourself to be perfect. Don't put too much pressure on yourselves to feel like you have to do it all and you have to choose it all now. We make the initial choice, but we reinforce that choice as we're moving forward. So just don't overthink it. Be in your heart. Be in your heart as much as possible. If those feelings are starting to get really overwhelming, those feelings of grief, of sadness, of anger, all of that stuff that's being purged out, just sit with that and hold that. And as you're feeling those energies, connect into your heart center as well and feel into those energies through the lens of your heart. And that can help to really dissolve and heal those energies and really integrate them, right? When we allow ourselves to feel them, we're not, and I use the word dissolve, and as soon as I said it, I didn't like it, because we're not dissolving them as though they never existed. We're looking at them, we're feeling them, we're experiencing them so that we can integrate them, right? So that they're no longer an aspect of ourselves that we're not acknowledging. They become part of who we are, and then we're able to continue evolving past that. So yeah, that's just an additional message that wanted to come through with you guys before I close this out. If you liked this video, hit the like button. It definitely helps the video to get out to more people. If you haven't subscribed yet and you want to catch more videos, hit the subscribe button. Click the bell with the little squiggles if you want to be notified when we have more videos come out. If you want to donate to our channel, there are links below for that as well. Kayla and I both really, really appreciate that. We really, really appreciate all of you. We both offer energy healings and personal readings. So if you resonate with one of us, reach out to us for those services. They can be so absolutely helpful right now when we're trying to get an understanding of these energies, work through them, sort through them. Both are different ways. The readings help. They help energetically as well because we're clearing things as we're discussing them, but they also help a lot on an intellectual level with sorting through that stuff, right? And the energy healings, I mean, they work directly on an energetic level, right? Like we're working on energy. Everything's energy, right? So we're addressing energy with energy, which is the most powerful way, in my opinion, to do it. I offer something now where we do a reading in combination with a healing session. So we examine certain blocks that you may be experiencing or trying to work through, set specific intentions, kind of work through and talk through some energies together, and then do a healing that is very targeted on resolving those energies. And that, I've been finding with clients, is very, very profound and helpful. So if you're interested in that, in a combination session such as that, if you're interested in a straight up healing session or reading, please reach out to me. Please reach out to Kayla if you resonate with her. She offers healings and readings as well. Just, we're here to support you, and we want to do that, and we are absolutely available to that. Also, you leave a comment if this video resonates. We love hearing from you guys, hearing how much these videos are helping. Like, that's what we're here to do. That is our mission, is to assist you in your awakening process, and also to continue to learn and grow. Like, I learn so much from you guys and the conversations that we have and the interactions that we have, and I absolutely value it and you so very, very much. Until we meet again, have a wonderful night, a wonderful, wonderful eclipse, and welcome to the new earth. We're here. We're still moving into it, and we're still integrating it, and we're still fully building our resonance with it, but we are here. And the more we open ourselves up, we open up that heart chakra, we step into that heart energy, which is the gateway to that, the more we can feel that, and the more we can resonate with that, and the more we can see that and recognize it all around us, the more we can recognize that there is only light. Until next time, I love you.